Right, so my idea for my final made project is an idea I've had for a while. It's a mix of cowboys and samurais. So it's based in the Wild West with samurai, like the 15th century samurai Japanese influence on the culture. I think it's a really good place to set a game in the Wild West because it's wild. There's a lot of things that can happen. There's not really a lot of rules. I've got a few pictures here and a few pictures of artwork and pictures from movies, which I kind of like for my ideas for the cowboy side of it. You see, the best I like about it is the costumes, like the coats and the hats especially. The guns are one thing that I like as well because they're not big guns; they're just small guns. It's very personal, and that's also good as well with the samurais because samurais have their katanas, and so it's very like personal weapons. They're not big and clunky. This is from a game called Red Dead Redemption. The game's quite good because the whole game portrays this character in the Wild West, and he's a cowboy. So this is a really big influence on that side of the game. Here's another concept art, and here's Clint Eastwood, very famous, obviously, very famous cowboy. I just like the idea of the Wild West where everything's free and people aren't under anything. The samurais then, I love the look of the samurais. I like the armour, and I like the culture. I think it's really nice. It's really good, especially the architecture and the environment. And obviously the biggest attraction towards it is the blade, the katana, which will feature prominently in my ideas and my drawings. And again, here's not more clothing instead of the armour, and then there's a fully fledged armoured person. So the environment's a big thing as well, what I focus on in my final major project, because I feel it's good to portray the mix between what it would look like in the Wild West, but with a bit of Japanese culture with it as well. I think that's a really interesting concept. So here's a few pictures of the old 15th century Japanese architecture, and also with the cowboys, it's quite good, is because a lot of the towns and the cities are very remote. So they're not really that connected apart from the railway. So, like you say, you've got all the cliff faces and the rocks and the mountains, and then you've got these small little settlements within the mountains, which are they're ruled by, like the sheriffs and stuff. And and here's some saloons. Now, in my final made project, I want to also come up with a high-level concept art for a main character. Now this would feature gun and sword play. So I've got a few pictures here which I would I'd like to base my design on. So it's got the guns and the swords and obviously the armour. And it's more of the cowboy look. And this is kind of what I want to base it on the most because I just think it looks really good and it's good to use. So after coming up with a few ideas, I've gone online and set up a survey for people to do. It came up mixed with the idea. People were a bit 50-50 on the idea, which I can understand because it's a bit of a weird mix. But what I've done, I've focused all the results I'm going to show you now on the people that have said yes, so I know what the audience that want it would like. Mm-hmm. So I've asked for a few games which are well known, especially about the combat. Is a big thing because using the gun and the sword is a big in the game. So I asked what sort of combat would they like. So that you see they've got Assassin's Creed and Batman. So I can kind of tell. Also, this kind of helps what it would look like as well, because it needs to be. With these two games, I need to be flexible. I need to be able to move about. And then again, asked again about the combat. And then about the character, because, like I said, the character's a big thing in my design. I wanted to ask about how I'd want to portray the character. So, with the Grand Theft Auto, what I'm going to do, I want to look at Grand Theft Auto and how they make their characters look to give them an actual character, which should be good because it gives my drawings personalities. So then I also looked at some research into different mediums, which they would I could kind of base my stuff on. Now, in my final major project, I'm working with a company called Rainmaker Studios, and they made this game called Wet. It came out in 2009, and it's basically what I'm doing is a sequel. Now, if it's a sequel, people are also gonna know the first one, so I can kind of gather that my target audience for my game that I want to design will be for an 18 audience. So I can add more mature look to everything. For the cowboy side of it, I can also look at the film Django Unchained. It's a very good spaghetti western, and again it shows the pre-Civil War America, and it can also take a lot of the environments and the way they look from this, because it's very good. And the last one it's a set of graphic novels called Ronin 5, which is based on some superheroes, but it's portrayed from the samurai era, where they've got no powers. It's just as them, and the artwork. I've seen a lot of the artwork. It shows a lot of how they lived and where they lived and everything. So it's good for me to use to see the environment, and hopefully, what I'd like to do is to design a main character, a non-playable character, so just a normal pedestrian, and I would also like to create an environment to show the mix between the two cultures. Got any questions?